The Battle of Jena, Napoleon's decisive victory over Prussia. The year was 1806, and Europe stood at a crossroads. Napoleon Bonaparte, having crowned himself Emperor of the French in 1804, sought to consolidate his grip over the continent. His ambition was met with resistance from an ever-shifting array of coalitions, this time spearheaded by Prussia. The Battle of Jena and Auerstedt, fought on October 14, 1806, became a turning point in the Napoleonic Wars and a definitive demonstration of Napoleon's military genius. The build-up to the conflict, Prussia, emboldened by Napoleon's setbacks in other theaters, decided to challenge the French Empire. Under King Frederick William III, the Prussian leadership hoped to restore their nation's influence in Europe. However, their military strategy was plagued by outdated doctrines, internal disagreements, and overconfidence. General Karl Wilhelm Ferdinand, Duke of Brunswick, was appointed to command the Prussian forces, assisted by notable figures such as General Ernst von Ruschel and Friedrich Wilhelm von Bülow. Napoleon, on the other hand, was quick to recognize the vulnerabilities in the Prussian ranks. Having secured peace with Austria and Russia through earlier campaigns, he turned his Grand Army, a highly disciplined and innovative force, towards the German states. Key generals in Napoleon's army included Marshal Louis-Nicolas Davout, Marshal Jean Lannes, and Marshal Joachim Murat, all veterans of earlier victories. The strategy: Napoleon devised a bold plan to split his forces, a risky maneuver that could have exposed him to defeat had the Prussians coordinated effectively. He aimed to encircle and destroy the Prussian army by outmaneuvering them. The French forces were divided into two main groups. Napoleon himself would lead the primary contingent towards Jena, while Marshal Davout's corps would march towards Auerstedt, unbeknownst to the Prussians. Prussia, unaware of Napoleon's intentions, believed they were engaging a much smaller force at Jena. Their miscalculation would prove disastrous. The Battle of Jena. On the morning of October 14, 1806, a dense fog cloaked the Thuringian hills around Jena. Napoleon's forces, numbering around 96,000, began their advance. Opposing them was a Prussian force of roughly 38,000 under Prince Hohenlohe. The Prussian forces were positioned on a ridge overlooking the Landgrafenberg Plateau, a seemingly strong defensive position. However, Napoleon had already outflanked them by moving troops through steep and narrow paths during the night, setting the stage for a surprise assault. Napoleon's plan unfolded with precision. General Lannes led the initial French attack, smashing into the Prussian center with relentless ferocity. Hohenlohe struggled to organize his forces in the face of the French onslaught. Napoleon's use of artillery, commanded by General Antoine Drouot, wreaked havoc on the Prussian lines, softening their defenses for the infantry to advance. Meanwhile, Marshal Murat's cavalry, a force of unmatched speed and discipline, charged with devastating effect. Murat's cavalry swept through the Prussian flanks, creating chaos and forcing Hohenlohe's troops into a disorderly retreat. Napoleon, observing the battlefield from an elevated position, issued orders with unerring clarity, ensuring that every move capitalized on the Prussian confusion. As the French pressed their advantage, the Prussian lines crumbled. By noon, Hohenlohe's forces were in full retreat, pursued relentlessly by Murat's cavalry. The once proud Prussian army was reduced to a disorganized mob, fleeing for survival. The Battle of Auerstedt. While Napoleon celebrated his triumph at Jena, an equally significant battle was unfolding to the north at Auerstedt. Marshal Davout's corps, consisting of around 27,000 men, encountered the main Prussian army under the Duke of Brunswick. The Prussian force, numbering approximately 63,000, outnumbered Davout's troops by more than 2 to 1. Despite the odds, Davout displayed extraordinary leadership and tactical brilliance. He positioned his forces defensively, using the terrain to neutralize the Prussian numerical advantage. The Duke of Brunswick, commanding the Prussian forces, was mortally wounded early in the battle, throwing their leadership into disarray. General Ernst von Ruschel and other senior officers attempted to rally the troops, but their efforts were hampered by poor coordination and low morale. Davout's disciplined infantry held their ground against repeated Prussian assaults. His use of combined arms, artillery, cavalry, and infantry working in unison was exemplary. As the Prussians faltered, Davout launched a counterattack, breaking their lines and forcing them into a retreat. By the end of the day, the Prussian army at Auerstedt was decisively defeated. The aftermath. The twin victories at Jena and Auerstedt shattered the Prussian army and marked the collapse of the Prussian state as a major power in Europe. Napoleon's forces captured tens of thousands of prisoners, along with vast quantities of supplies and artillery. The Prussian capital, Berlin, fell to the French shortly afterward, and King Frederick William III fled to East Prussia. Napoleon's strategic and tactical brilliance was on full display. The Battle of Jena and Auerstedt demonstrated the superiority of the French military system, which emphasized mobility, initiative, and the integration of different arms. In contrast, the Prussian army's rigid and outdated tactics proved to be its undoing. Marshal Davout, whose victory at Auerstedt was arguably more impressive given the disparity in numbers, earned the title Duke of Auerstedt in recognition of his achievements. Napoleon himself lauded Davout's performance, calling him one of the finest commanders in the world. Legacy of the battle. The Battle of Jena and Auerstedt had far-reaching consequences. It marked the beginning of the end for the old Prussian military system, prompting a series of reforms led by figures such as Gerhard von Scharnhorst and Karl von Clausewitz. These reforms would eventually lay the groundwork for the revitalized Prussian army that played a key role in the defeat of Napoleon years later. For Napoleon, the battle solidified his reputation as a military genius and reinforced his dominance over continental Europe. It also served as a stark warning to other nations. Opposing the French Empire without unity and innovation would lead to ruin. Conclusion. The Battle of Jena and Auerstedt was more than just a military engagement. It was a clash of ideologies, strategies, and leadership styles. Napoleon's ability to adapt and innovate outshone the rigid and outdated practices of his opponents. The battle remains a testament to the importance of flexibility, decisiveness, and unity in the art of war. As the fog of war lifted over the Thuringian hills, one fact became clear. The world had witnessed a masterclass in warfare delivered by one of history's greatest commanders.